And a very, very dramatic situation is happening, and that is David is insulted. His men are refused any provisions whatsoever by Naval. Naval is a wealthy person living in the southern Hebron Mountains, the area of Ma'on and Carmel, and it happens to be a very happy time for him because he's sharing his gigantic sheep count. He has a few thousand, did we say? A few hundred? How much does he have? Wow, that's a lot. He's a very wealthy person, he's a VIP. However, we noticed the way he related to David as if no honor, no respect, no what we call hakarat tov, no recognition of the good of David. He doesn't provide them anything. And it seems that David is so insulted, or is it the insult of the kingdom of Israel? Maybe David considers himself already as the king. And we want to see what action he's taking, because until now, every time something terrible happened between Shaul and David acted with restraint. David did not get upset, I'm going to kill him, or going to do this or do that to him. And now we want to understand there's a different reaction. His men are armed, David is armed. And by the way, in the Gemara, on the pasuk where it says they took arms, and then David armed himself, the Gemara there says, and Rashi brings it, that he has a court, and he has a court of dinei nefashot, of capital punishment. And as some of you know, when you deal with capital punishment and you want to hear claims, you start not with the largest judge, but you start with the smallest judge, the most least knowledgeable member of the court, right? That's why the Tanakh stated there in verse 13 that each one armed themselves, and only David later. Why? The midrashic importance of this pasuk is that they began receiving different claims. Should we do this? Should we not go ahead and kill him? Should we kill him? Should we not kill him? So they started with everyone making claims, and then David was the last one to make a claim because he's the highest level of scholarliness. But it seems that David right now wants to prosecute and put him to death, at least Naval. You asked yesterday, does he want to kill the entire house? Are you a spy? Okay. Does he want to kill everyone in the house? You asked a good question. Was it you or was it you? I don't remember. Maybe he wants to do away with the entire house of Mr. Naval. If we're going to get to that question, then it seems to be a good question. Only one of the persons committed a capital crime, and that's Naval. But right now, it seems that David is out to wipe everyone out, as we're going to see in a moment. And now we learn about the wisdom, the initiative of Naval's wife, Mrs. Avigail. She hears the entire story by some of the men. She's not aware that David's men approached, asked for some goods, asked for some charity, and she's now well aware that when David is hiding in the desert, he's been protecting the sheep and the goods of Mr. Naval and his company. Whenever Naval's shepherds could not do the work, who's coming in and providing? David's men. So who owes who a lot? Naval owes David and his company a lot of good things. And here he's asking for basic matat yad, which is tzedakah, which is charity. He's not giving it. When she hears all these things, and it's clear to her that he's coming not only to kill him, Valkol Beito, the entire house. What does she do? Let's read from here the amazing initiative and speech of Mrs. Avigail, Pasuk Yud verse 18. Vatemaher Avigail. She acts with swiftness, and now she takes a gigantic stock of food. And it just shows you what kind of affair, what kind of party that we're putting on. She takes 200 loaves of bread, 200 lechem, ushnayim nivlei yayin, 2 flasks of wine, 5 tzon asuyot. She takes lamb chop food from lambs, 5 of them, and this is to support 600 people. 5 se'im koli, some popcorn, meaning toasted wheat, things that you know you can use that are toasted and are preserved if you need dry food or something of that nature. Umatzi mukim, you said they're like clusters of dry grapes, which are raisins. Umatayim dvelim, apparently this is the dessert, having some sweet fruits, dried fruits. And she loads up the donkeys. Pasuk Yutet, Vayomer linarea. Of course, obviously, why is she taking all this food? What's her idea, gentlemen? First of all, there's a hungry 600 people out there that have to be fed. Number 1. Number 2, what does she really want to do? She wants to reconcile the terrible thing that her husband did. She wants to provide, some goods and maybe have David's mind changed. She wants to sway his mind. Okay? So she's schlepping all this food to maybe change his mind. And what happens? Vatomer linara, she tells her young lads in U10 in verse 19, just watch the quickness here. Ivru lefana, you go in front of me. Hinini acharechem, and I'll be right after you. What does it sound like?
It's like Yaakov.
Very good. When Yaakov is sending his kids and his wives, he has a long line with a lot of gifts over there in order to go ahead and persuade Esav. So here they're being sent, and only she's coming after them. And all of what she's doing, uli isha nava lo igida. Her husband, who's a terrible person, she doesn't bother telling him. You can ask yourself, why not? He might stop the situation. You see that he's a villain. He's a scoundrel. He's acting like an evil person. He's likely, what? To stop this entire escort of people, of food, to dissuade David from killing them. Pasuk verse 20. Ve'ya. The situation now presents itself. He rochevet ala chamor, v'yoredet b'seiter ahar. She's now, remember, the southern Hebron mountains are hilly tops. So you go up and you go down. You go up and you go down. And right now she's going down into the valley, in between the mountains. B'seiter ahar. It's an expression. The valleys of the mountains. Okay. And v'hine, surprise, David v'anashav yordim lekrata. Who's on his way? Hashem made this happen, of course. David and his hundreds of men are on their way, armed. They've already made a court case that Mr. Naval is obligated for treason. You called it yesterday. Moreid b'malchut. The fact of not honoring the kingdom of David is equivalent to rebelling against the kingdom. And the Rambam writes, based on the Gemara and Sanhedrin, that if you're moreid b'malchut, what is the penalty? Death. So they're coming now en route to kill maybe not only Naval, but the entire family. The question is, why the entire family? Because that was stated before. Let's already deal with it right now. Why would David wipe out the entire family of Naval? Maybe David is assuming, I'm saying this as a possibility, that they are an accomplice to the disrespect to David. Or they are supporting this treason and not honoring the kingdom of David. And whoever's an accomplice or does not prevent it, maybe he thought that Mrs. Avigail knew about the lack of honor, the disrespect that Naval gave, and she didn't stop him. So whoever doesn't stop a family member is like doing part of the crime. Maybe that could be the understanding. And now they meet. Vatifgoshotam. They're now meeting one another here on the bottom of the bottom of the matter. Now, what does she suggest? She has a lot of food. She wants to use all this food to give them food right now, and also preserve food, the toasted wheat and the raisins and the tainim, which are dried figs. That's plenty of food for days. She wants to support them. Pasuk, Kaf Aleph, And now, notice thing, he's coming to kill them. David and his men are coming to kill them. Avigail is going to do what? To make an interception, is that what it's called? And stop and rescue her husband from this matter. And now they meet. She had such tremendous fortune. Okay? And they're meeting now in the valley in between the two mountains that are there. And now let's raise the question, what is she thinking and what is he thinking? Okay? What is David about to say? Pasuk Kaf Aleph. That's how Rashi will explain this Pasuk 21. Or we'll see another meaning by the Abarbanel, accepted by the Malbim, that David is saying this to his people right now aloud. And now let's see what David is saying. David Amar. David said, however, unfortunately, la sheker shamarti kol asher lazeba midbar. When I helped this guy out in the desert, this guy is stuck with all his sheep, I did it for nothing, for sheker. Okay? Sheker doesn't only have to mean falsely, meaning for nothing. I helped him out for nothing. Why is he saying for nothing? Because I didn't get anything back. And I'm the king. That's what he's thinking. V'lo nifkad mikol asher me'uma. Nothing was lost of their properties. Vayashav li ra'atach tova. Instead of giving me goodness, what is he giving me? Evil. Again, two meanings. Either he's saying this to himself, or right now he's saying it to his own men. And who could be hearing this? Avigail, obviously. Pasuk Kavbet, verse 22. Ko yaseh Elokim lo'ovei David v'cho Yosef. David now says, may God do this to all the enemies of David, and may even add on to do more. What? Im ashir mikol asher lo ad ora boker mashtin bakir. Why? David is really turned off. Look at this harsh statement that he makes. Remember, Im ashir, meaning I will not let anyone alive until the morning, including everything that even urinates at the wall. That's a very harsh statement. To whom is he referring to? He could be referring to not only to Avigail, any family member, but all the animals. He's willing to wipe out everyone from the family, even the dog. Even the dog that urinates by the wall, he wants to wipe everyone out. Now, some say the meaning is, you and I are not used to David speaking this way. Some say, and according to Rashi, that he's saying this in his heart, that he said this once he was reported. He was given the report by his men. And his men told him how Naval cursed him and blasphemed. Who is he? Who is the son of Yishai doing these things? In other words, as if this pasuk is in parenthesis. It's not reflecting what's happening now. But this was David's reaction in his heart when he was told the bad news, when they came back empty-handed, no food, no chamgashiyot, sometimes you can put some food and put it and wrap it, or nothing, no wrap food, nothing. That's one meaning. But another meaning is, at the moment that David sees the group of people that are accompanying Avigail, at this moment he meets, David is saying these words. He's basically taking a type of oath, and he's heated up. To say the least, he's heated up. He's like taking an oath, and he's going to wipe everyone out, even a child that urinates here or a dog that urinates here. I would have expected the word vayichar apo, that his wrath is kindled. I'm asking my question to myself. I'm pondering and asking. We never see a statement of such harsh anger coming out of the mouth of David. The first time I've seen it, I've experienced this, and I'm asking, why doesn't the Tanakh, use the word that it uses with other people when they're angered, or when it's talking about God's anger, in a very metaphoric way, vayichar apo, and his nostrils are kindling with fire or something like that. We don't see it. But there's no doubt that David is insulted terribly here, and that's the way he's talking. Let's say now, according to the Abarbanel and the Malbim, that David is saying this to his men out loud, and now she hears what he's saying. Now, according to the meaning that he's not saying this out loud, but in his heart, are you aware that the Talmud says that there were 7 women for the nation of Israel that were prophets? 7 women of Israel were prophets. One of them is Avigail. So it could be that through prophecy, she knows what's going on in David's will to wipe out everyone. Pasuk Av Gimel, let's go on. Vatera Avigail et David. She now makes eye contact. She sees, remember, this could be even at nighttime. She sees him, and now she hurries. Vatim Maher. Why is she hurrying? It could very well be that she heard, according to this meaning, she heard or knows the harsh words of David, and right now she knows his clear intent, and therefore she has to act with quickness, alertness, and with a lot of courage. So what does she do hurriedly? Vatim Maher. Vatered mi'ala chamor. She leaves quickly off of her donkey. And what does she do? With tremendous humility, Vatipol le'apei David al paneh. She falls now on her face. Now what does it mean? Le'apei David? Huh? What does it mean? Vatishtachavu aretz. And then it says in the next pasuk, Vatipol araglav. What do you think? She fell on his feet? Sounds a little immodest. So it means, the commentaries explain, the Ralbag says, next to David's feet. So right now, what she's doing before David, she's submitting herself. She's suspending herself totally. She's nullifying herself. I am nothing compared to you, which is amazing kavod and fear that she's giving to David. Let's keep on reading as she's bowing down. Vatishtachu aretz, pasuk 24. Vatipol raglav. She falls next to his feet. Vatomer, and she makes the following statement: Bi Adoni ha'avon. Some say avon here does not mean a sin, but avon here means punishment, meaning to me the punishment is coming. To me and not who? And not Teval. Utidaberna amatcha beoznecha. Notice the words. She calls herself, I'm your slave. Ushmai divrei amatecha. She's warning David, before you take action, note that I am what? Aleph, your slave. And I want you to hear, before you take action, first hear what I have to say. And you should know, I deserve the punishment. Now, is it true that she deserves punishment? Or she made a sin? So some of the commentators explain she's using tact. She's saying something out of the unusual world, and she's trying to get David's attention. What? What are you talking about? That he'll be, well, go ahead. Continue. What are you talking about? David's en route to kill everyone, and she says something maybe to grab David's attention to stop any further action that he's about to do. Okay? That's what they explain. That's why she says, I'm at fault. Pasuk Kafei, verse 25. Avigail says, Alna yasim adoni et libo el isha bli alaze al naval ki chishmo kenu naval shmo univala imo vani amatcha lo reiti et na'rei adoni asher shalachta. Major reason number 1, you shouldn't do anything, because this guy is an idiot. This guy is a terrible person. It's interesting. How did she marry him? We asked that question yesterday. She seems to be such a lofty, good-minded, good-hearted person. What is she doing married to a scoundrel, to a villain like this? I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe it was a shidduch arranged. They said, look, would you like to meet this guy? He's very wealthy.
You said yesterday, in the beginning, he wasn't that bad.
Or maybe he wasn't that bad. And he's a wealthy person, so maybe she thought that he's a good guy. But we see he's a terrible person. We don't know how she agreed to a shidduch like this.
Who else would do?
Look, she seems to be a very lofty person. Why would she marry? It's not clear. Not clear. Not at all clear. Pasuk Kavav. So she's saying, like his name is, that's what he is. He's a naval. He's a navala. He's an abomination. He's a terrible person. What's the logic she's saying? Let me ask you something. Have you ever met with mentally ill people? Mentally ill people. If a mentally ill person acts terrible and he says things that are insulting or derogatory, do you know what the best educational method of reaction is? Don't ignore him. Ignore. What do you want from him? He's not well. He's not well. What do you want from him? This is her line of thought. Take no heed of this guy. He's a terrible person. He's gone. He's an abomination. He's a terrible person. Don't even relate to him. He's an ish bili. Where would he get to? He's a bilial, without faith, right? She doesn't. Yeah, he mentions she's a bili. He's a man without faith. He's a terrible person. Take no heed to what he's saying. You don't have to be impacted from him. Don't relate to him. Don't react to him. Furthermore, reason number 2. Okay. So she's teaching us she's a great woman of midot. Okay? When do you become disgraced? When a regular person disgraces you. When a regular person insults you. But a person that's no honor to himself, he's a wicked person, take no heed to this. Okay? The Malbim explains that a disgrace only comes from an honorary person, a nobleman, a minister, a real good person. But someone who's so degraded, someone who's so low, mapito. Do you know what this guy is, Naval? In the eyes of society, he's a nothing. He's a nothing. He's not worth anything. Therefore, don't be strict on him. All of this is a graceful tact in trying to persuade David not to take action and kill. Pasuk Vav, a further reason. Verse 26. Vi'ata. And now, Adoni. Chai Adonai v'chei nafshecha asher mena'acha Adonai mibo v'damim v'oshea yadcha lach v'ata yu chenava lo'evecha v'mevakshim el Adoni ra'a. She now makes claim number 2. Look, what's claim number 2? God's name, okay? Chai Hashem, v'chei nafshecha. That what? That God prevented you from spilling blood here. And He saved your hand from this. It's in your interest not to spill blood. And God saved you from this. I would say that she's a very shrewd woman speaking. Because how does she know? I'm asking out loud. How does she know that David's not going to still kill them? But she's talking with certainty and such confidence. It just shows that in spite of the fact that David has yet to decide if he's going to go with this and kill them or not, and she's already decided that he's not. She's a tough, she's a special shrewd, very sharp person. Okay? So she's saying, what is she saying here? Thank God that you're saved. It's not in your interest. May all your enemies be like Naval. What does she mean here? What does she mean, may all your enemies be like Naval? Huh? People that really have no self-value. People that really have no self-value whatsoever, and therefore don't even take heed to them. Why? Pasuk Kav Zayin. Ve'ata habracha zot. Look what I brought to you. I brought you food. I brought you preserved food. Things that are going to last you for days and days. Asher ivi shifchatcha laduni. Again, what does she call herself? A servant. She's belittling herself, honoring David amazingly. V'nitna lanarim hamitalchim biraglei aduni. She's basically saying that the food that I brought can be for all your warriors, all your people that are going with you. Okay? And therefore, it's a great thing that you have food now for days, and I'm supporting you. There's no need for you to go kill. There's no need for you to take food. I'm bringing you right now a gift of a lot of food. After saying this, maybe the real reason what she's saying is about to come right now in the upcoming psukim. We'll get to it in the upcoming. She continues. And now she begs for her life. Pasuk Kafchet, verse 28. Sana, please, tolerate, accept, forgive. Lefesha amatecha. Again, she's blaming herself. Why don't you forgive the sin, the crime of your maidservant? Ki aso yaseh Hashem ladoni bayit ne'aman. What's going to be with you in the future, David? God will make for you a faithful home, meaning you're going to be a king. Ki milchamot Hashem adoni nechem. You deserve all this. You fought the wars of God. You've defended Am Yisrael. Defending Am Yisrael is defending God. The name of God is on the nation of Israel. You're going to have a house. You're going to be a king over Israel. Therefore, don't even dare right now to go ahead and kill my husband, myself, the family. Okay? Why? Because this is going to be a stain on your life. People are going to talk about this. That right before you took the kingdom, you murdered, you killed people. Pasuk Kaftet 29, she continues in her speech. Vayakom Adam lirdofcha ulevakesh et nafshecha. Okay? Who is she talking about? Shaul. There was a guy that pursued to kill you. And go ahead and kill people that are insulting you. Restrain yourself. And what will happen to you in virtue of your restraint? Vaita, you know what will be? Nefesh Adoni Tzrura b'tzorah chaim. If you restrain yourself and don't kill people, your soul will be bonded together with the rock of life. By the way, these are the words we put on a gravestone, on a tombstone, of a person that passed away. May your soul be bonded in the bounding of life with God when a person passes away. But here, she means to give him a blessing, meaning may your soul be bounded to God. May you have eternal spirituality and be connected to God. Be connected to God. Don't spill blood right now. Vet nefesh oivecha yikalena betoch kafakala. What is she asking for now? Ve'it nefesh oivecha, let the soul of your enemies yikalena, may be able to overcome any matters of your enemies with smoothness. May there never be the spilling of blood in all these matters. And now we get to the real reason, what we're about to be surprised with Avigail's words. Here now, in Pasuk Lamed, as we're about to read Avigail's words, after she's made this long speech, that in reference to Saul, that when he was standing to kill you, you didn't act this way. God watched over you. He preserved you. He watched over you. There's no need for you to take action now and kill someone. In other words, Avigail is now mentioning what David has done in the past, that according to law, he should really not go ahead and kill Naval and his house. It'll be like spilling innocent blood. Why? What's the problem here? She says the following. Vayan, it'll be. Verse 30. Ki aseh Hashem laduni kechol asher diber et hatova alecha. God's going to do all this goodness that He promised to you. V'tzivcha lenagid al Yisrael, and He'll command you to be a king. Notice, she's talking about the future. That means that Mrs. Avigail understands now at the end of this long speech that David is not yet king. She knows that he was anointed. She knows that maybe even Shaul admitted to his kingdom. But the fact is, most of the people in Judah, and certainly in the entire country, do not know this. And until it's not well known, the kingdom of David has yet to be reigning. He's doing things like a king. And therefore, if you're not yet a king, you have no right halachically, legally, to do what? To accept this as treason against the king of Israel. You're not the king of Israel yet. And if you do take and kill this family out, it's going to come up against you in the future. See this in verse 31, Lamed Aleph. V'lo tiyeh zot lecha lefuka. If you're going to kill, this will be for you a stumbling block. Lefuka is a stumbling block. Okay? It'll be a problem for you. Ulemichshol leiv. And it'll be a major problem in your heart, laduni. For the shpoch dam chinam, spilling blood innocently. Uloshia adoni lo. Veitiv Hashem laduni v'zacharta tamatecha. Here is the end of this very prominent speech that she's saving for the last claim is maybe the most potent words that she's saying. Mrs. Avigail is coming and saying here, you have to correct your situation. You cannot treat yourself right now as the king of Israel. It'll come in the future. You will be the Mashiach, the anointed of God. You will be the king of Israel. But right now, you have to wait until you get support of the nation, good parts of the nation, or at least of the tribe of Yehudah. And therefore, your approach until now, which has been a passive approach, an approach of restraint, that's what you must continue, and that'll bring you into your kingdom. But if you destroy, if you go out and kill people right now in the city of Ma'on and kill Naval, kill me and the children and others, this will work up against you in your future kingdom. What a speech. What a speech. What does David say? All of the speech, which is one of the longest speeches we see in the Tanakh. How many psukim is it? Wow. She's speaking in Kaf Daled, Kafei, Kavav Zayin Chet, Tet, Lamed, Lamed Aleph, 8 psukim, a very long speech for Tanakh standards, of course. What is David's reaction? Pasuk Lamed Bet, Vayomer David Lavigail. Notice the Yud doesn't even appear here. La Avigal. Interesting that her full name is not even mentioned here. Avigal. Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael. What?
I think before it was Aleph Bet, Gimel Yud Lamed.
Right, and now it's Aleph Bet Yud Gimel Lamed. I didn't research this to understand what. Ketiv Kimo Avigal Ki Karovu. Vaitanekret Kach Vekach. The Radak says that she was called sometimes Avigal and sometimes called Avigail, 2 names, and they're very close to one another. There's another drash, there's a midrash that the Radak brings, that when she said, you shall remember your maidservant, she was talking about herself. The fact that she's submitting herself and belittling herself, she's making herself like nothing. Therefore, one of the letters are coming out of her name. That's what a midrash says. Interesting. In any event, here, David's words, what does he notice? Who is the truth with? The truth is with Avigail. And therefore, David now admits to 3 things. Number 1, that God sent her. Okay? Baruch Hashem what? Asher shlachech hayom hazeh lekrati. He's thanking God that Hashem sent Avigail to talk with her. Number 2, about the claims of Avigail. In the next pasuk, in 33. Uvaruch ta'amech. Ta'am, which can mean taste, we said often is the reasoning, the logical talking, your logical claims. David now admits now in 33 that the claims, the explanations of Avigail are true as well. The third thing that David makes an admission to, uvrucha'at. You have self-dignity. He's thanking Hashem that she has her own self-respect, self-esteem, and she's standing up what she thinks is right. And the fact that he's not going to kill neither Avigail nor Naval is in the merit of this woman. Let's read 33 again, an entire pasuk. Uvaruch tamech uvrucha'at, and you are blessed. Asher kilitini hayom hazeh mibo v'damim. You're the one that has stopped me, prevented me from bloodshed here this day. Voshea yadi li. You have saved me from all this matter. So You're worthy. You've prevented from me from doing any devastation here and killing. And notice, he uses the words that she used before in reasoning. Mi bo bedamim, to come to do bloodshed. Voshea yadi le. He repeats the terms that she used herself, which shows that, David is not short for words. David's an excellent speaker, but yet he's adopting her words to show how worthy she is in all these things. Yep. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll see the end of this matter, maybe to the end of the parak.